Aloha, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Marissa Indigo, and I'm the founding director of Divine DNA Blueprint. For those of you who are new to my work, I am a way shower and a code keeper. Share all kinds of intel that I've discovered in my own personal experience and a lot of studying throughout my life to start to piece together everything and deconstruct the universe to the best of my ability to succeed here on Time Ship Earth. So we cover so many different subjects here on this channel. And just for a little review of some of my background, I'm a professional oracle and priestess. I have a clinical Ayurvedic background, so I'm a clinical Ayurvedic specialist, which is the most ancient medicine, mind, body, spirit system for ascension, over 5,000 years old that we have here on planet Earth. And just very passionate about all things consciousness, evolution of consciousness, conscious parenting, and food. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a writer. I'm just a creative being. The more that I continue to liberate myself and detox the old paradigm from myself, the more free I become, the more creative I become, and the more that I discover that I love to share. My galactic signature in the Mayan cosmic galactic system is white resonant wind. So I was signed up for a soul that would come down here and transmit the knowledge of spirit as I experience it. So I'm trying to keep it short, but that's a little bit about what I offer. And this is the potential for all of us as we come into our soul to expand more and more into our potential, into our gifts, into our wisdom and codes. So I'm just here as a metaphor reflecting where everyone can go if they so choose. I also just want to point out my awesome X-File jack-o'-lantern pumpkin that my daughter made. Yeah, my daughter is amazing. And celebrating the holidays and all of this stuff together has been super fun. But I always like to be a little ironic, when appropriate. And I thought I'm going to bring the X-File pumpkin in because I think it's super dope. And my whole life, as far as I'm concerned, this whole experience on Time Ship Earth has been one big X-File. So I get it. We're separating and sorting and sifting a lot of information, a lot of frequencies, and also how they affect us and how we can come into greater wholeness. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. So today I'm very excited about this topic. We are going to be talking about detoxing the old paradigm to build new earth from within. So this is a really big subject. I'm going to do my best to keep it brief and succinct for you all. Detoxing the old paradigm, building new earth from within. So first we have to talk about the current events and all of this that's going on here on a global level, which is all for the evolution of consciousness. It's all for the ascension, for those who wish to go as far as they possibly want in this experience here, being a spiritual being, having a human experience, soul in the body, angels here in the body, in the avatar. So the first thing I want to talk about is the discovery that I made in my own frustrations. At this time, we're seeing so much collapse, right? And we're seeing how much the old paradigm was never made to serve us. If anything, it was made to constrict us, to limit us, to make us feel like shit and to feel bad about ourselves and to never be able to come into our full potential of our genius and our creativity as divine beings here. So where I go with this is my own personal observation and throwing a tantrum in a meditation with the universe last year, as I was starting to become excessively frustrated with the education system and what's going on and what's going on with our children. And I was sitting there meditating, talking to the divine, and just saying, there's no system for us. And I'm feeling upset. I'm feeling bad for all the kids that are kind of in this in between right now, as the old system is dying and collapsing and no longer serves. It's no longer in the best interest of the children. Where's the new system? We're like this awkward in between phase. And this could be a metaphor for our entire experience right now. And that's really where I wanted to go with this information, is that we have to understand and understand that everything is collapsing on the outside so that we can build the new, because that's how the golden age is coming about. So rather than get frustrated which is fine. Definitely feel your frustration. You know, this has been an emotional roller coaster for me. None of us are above the human experience of emotion and frustration, grief, rage, all of it. And so the whole point is to, you know, be with yourself, witness whatever arises in your response and your reaction to all of these challenging things that are in our face, and release them. Soften yourself and start to build back your momentum, raise your frequency again. So that would be like the summation of this entire video with everything that presents into our experience. But I'm going to go more deeply with that. But before I get off track too much, I'll go back to my story. So I'm sitting there extremely frustrated on behalf of my own child and her experience being, you know, having to stay home from school and all of this stuff. And they said, guidance said, higher self, God said, you have to build it. I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, we're kind of suffering, I feel like, because we're on the in-between of the old system, which no longer fits. And yet the new system has yet to be created and born. And they say, you build it. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Right? So, you know, it took a little while. I was just like, are you serious? So that is the medicine for this journey right now. We have to build everything. And, you know, I work extensively with my mentor, Lisa Transcendence Brown. I'm a part of her evolution of consciousness community, where she has been teaching this for a very long time. We have to build new earth from within ourselves. So the old paradigm that we're seeing right now collapsing was all about the external and giving our everything to the external. And what does that mean energetically? If we start to look at things energetically in the subtle realms, is that we were used to hold systems in place through our own life force energy, right? So this process is disengaging us in the most expedited way, sometimes brutal for sure, but it's helping us to pull back all of us, all of ourself, our energy, our soul, our energy bodies from the old system. And one thing that I always just want to encourage with people is allow the collapse to happen. If we can have faith and trust in ourselves and in the divine and in our souls to handle all of this, it will expedite the process on a collective level as each one of us pulls back, because what we're doing individually for ourselves applies to the collectives as well. So we have to build it all ourselves. So I just want to share, I took some notes here. Duality or polarity or contrast are our most powerful teachers. These are all symbols and mirrors that are here to reflect for us, to see what we have inside. Where are we holding the old paradigm inside of us? Where do we have limitations, you know? And it's an opportunity to question, well, who said that? Is that true for me? So this is a systemic detox of the old paradigm, of the patriarchy, of the matrix, from our consciousness, from our DNA, which is also our physical body, emotional, energetic bodies. We are completely cutting the cords and pulling out all of these connections where we were held captive by these old systems. All of this right now, as this intensifies, is magnetics to support our purification. What do I mean by that? When we see something that's challenging to us and triggers us, this is a catalyst for a shift. This is an invitation to see where inside are we having a reaction, a response that's beyond maybe our control, beyond our ability to respond with eloquence and grace. And we need to take a little time out and deal with some really deep feelings, rage, betrayal. So the magnetics is showing us essentially what's going on right now is there's a huge magnetic mirror, if we talk about the energy, being held in front of our face pretty much 24/7 right now with so many different, you know, the media, what we're seeing in society, all of these things. We have to go out and wear masks outside, all of these things. These are all showing us where is freedom important to us, for example. Where is community lacking on the planet, and how can we build that? So the biggest contrast that I could share that we're in right now is that tyranny creates freedom. For those of us who have never had to stand up or voice or anything like that, that's intense. It's an initiation to stand up and say no, to stand up for what you believe to be right, to stand up for freedom, to stand up for equality, all of these core values. Many of us are being forced to stand up, and it's very uncomfortable, but this is an expansion. So this is what I mean when I say that the magnetics, the contrasting elements are here right now in our face to promote expansion into what that is that we would prefer, that we resonate with, that is true for us. And when we talk about truth, we have to understand that there's truly no such thing because it's subjective. Each of us is an amalgam, a hologram of all of our experiences, our soul, all of our connections to various lineages here on the planet. When we talk about ancestral work here for the planetary lineages, as well as star nations going all the way back. This is going all the way back to first separation from God, when we individuated as a soul spark of light from the divine, to have these experiences of forgetting or the amnesia, and then remembering and expansion and contraction, inhaling, exhaling. This is the cycle. This is what we're in. And yes, it is extremely expedited and very challenging right now, but we wouldn't have come here if we couldn't handle it. So I want to just share that, yeah, pretty much on a daily basis, I too am challenged and, have a lot of processing to do. I see a lot. Being a seer, which is a capability that all of us have access to, we see a lot. You see all the layers underneath everything, which goes both ways in a very polarized, very strong sense of, okay, look at that extreme darkness. Now look at this incredible, beautiful, expansive light. So what I want to reiterate is our ability to detox the darkness, the density, the programming from the old paradigm, from ourselves. There's a lot of manipulation and control and, looshing, if you will, right? We talk about loosh, they taking our energy, playing our chakras like a xylophone, right? To manipulate. So this is where the tyranny creates freedom, because the more extreme that it becomes, the more we realize how we define our freedom and what are our basic core values and beliefs for the experience that we wish to have here, to share with one another, to share with our families and our children and our communities, and to grow all new systems. So all of this is the catalyst to provoke us into deeper self-knowing or inner gnosis, right? When we know what we don't want, this is the gift of contrast, okay? This is the magnetics. This is how we master this. When we know what we don't want through the gift of contrast, which is revelation, then we have to focus on what it is we do want and ask how to build that, how to be that, how to share that. So this is where it gets tricky. And if any of you are struggling emotionally, which is very common right now, I'm definitely there often as well. There's a lot of things that we have to work through to continue to build our light. I highly suggest the emotional mastery series that I did here on this channel, to working with emotions, to starting to understand them as information. It's just information. It's showing us our magnetics so that we don't lose our energy and our focus, and thus kind of recreate in an unconscious loop based on our emotional reactivity to something. What we resist persists. The universe doesn't hear a no. Everything is a yes. So whatever we're focusing on, that's a yes. That's what we're creating, whether we like it or not. So this is part of our mastery, to be very mindful and redirect our focus once we have purged whatever it is that's arising in response, in reaction to something. So this is the expedited evolutionary process we're in right now, and for the next few years, to utilize the nature of contrast as it presents and surrounds us to truly know ourselves at soul level. So if we can start to look at all of this as a gift and start to take our power back. One of the things that I realized I had to work through myself was seeing all of these people who have no idea what health is. They have no idea what the body is or what it's capable of, and feeling like the majority who do not understand these deeper wisdom teachings of what our life experience is, we're going to control my experience. Basically, for a while, I was, really working through, oh my gosh, like the unconsciousness is going to destroy us and ruin our experience for those of us who are here to build. And so I had to process, this was months of processing fear around this, resentment, anger, judgment that I had, and using how that was coming through me to see where it was within myself and to do the healing work within myself. And this is shadow work. This is ancestral clearing. This is working with the inner child, all of this. If you need support with this, these are the kinds of things I do in my sessions. And on my mystery school, my online mystery school, there's a lot of great content to help work through all of these things. I share all of these things because I've been there. That's what I've been doing in order to figure out how to succeed in the new light. Sorry for all that movement there. I just had to readjust myself. So we're starting to know ourselves at soul level, who we really are. Why are we here? Why would we come here? What do we expect from this experience? And taking all of our power back, understanding that anyone else's choice, anyone else's belief, anyone else's truth is their truth, and it may not be our truth or your truth, and it doesn't matter. Honoring where everyone is on the path, because it's all soul-based, incarnational kind of contracts that people have made for what they're here to do or be. We're all role players in a role player game. So you have to focus on your own. And that was a deep teaching for me, to surrender being controlled or, you know, the fear that other people's decisions, other people's ignorance, in my opinion, and I say that without judgment. I say everyone is formulating their beliefs and their opinions and all of who they are based on the information that they have. Some people take information at surface level and they don't dig deeper. And I'm someone who has dug to as deep as I possibly can, and I will never stop digging to truly understand the, you know, the inner workings of all of creation. Because to me, I want to explore, I want to have fun. I want to know as much as I can and realize how much I don't know and just have fun with all of this. It's a game of consciousness. So I had to start to understand that I was giving my power away in fear to other people's experiences. So this is a very powerful teaching, to pull your power back and pull your focus back. And from there, building our faith and our trust in ourself, in our soul, and what our soul is saying, what resonates with us at our deepest truth of our heart and our soul and our divinity, and trusting that, and just not listening, you know, not allowing things from the outside to pull you down. And when they do, it's medicine to see the magnetics again. Where inside of me do I have something that's resonating with this? Because essentially what I'm seeing going on here at an energetic level is this huge purging where the light is so high, the frequencies coming down are so high that it's like the most powerful flashlight just shining on all of these things that could be better, right? Could be flooded with a higher light. All of these systems could be really holographic and really high integrity and built on sacred respect, a whole new way of being and sharing and living in a co-creative, divine, abundant heaven on earth. So of course, all of the things that are not that have to come up and out, and they are within us as well, because it's part of the incarnational experience here. So this is a huge purge for us. So just want to encourage people to have compassion. When you see your inner ugly, don't get hung up on it. Don't judge yourself. And you may have some judgment, but it's all part of the process of coming back into peace again. So each little bit of this journey is huge, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of focus. So just honoring where you're at. So knowing ourselves at soul level, I mean, what an incredible opportunity all of this is to truly know who we are. And that brings on the next level, okay? So once we start to get a grasp of who we are, what are we passionate about? Why are we here? We start to discover talents and abilities and interests we never knew that we had. Some of them we did know that we had, like maybe you love music, you know, but you didn't think you'd be a singer, for instance, or someone who liked to sing. And maybe there's this ancient aspect of you that's a bard in the bardic tradition of singing creation songs. And that goes all the way back into the indigenous, the Star Nations, you know, singing everything into creation. So there's these pieces that start to come in, maybe, you know, being an artistic person, painting, making sculptures, working with the earth, working with children. There's going to be new soul callings that come in once we start to acquaint ourselves with our soul consciousness, with our core beliefs and values, and starting to really know that inner gnosis, that's Sophia, the divine wisdom of knowing who we really are. That's the first step. And from there, pieces will start to come in to build your new life, to build your new roles. and contribute to new earth. So we have to detox who we are not. Once we start to know who we are, it's perfect. And there's going to be consistent opportunities to see who we are not. And we will feel this in responses, maybe to experiences that we have. A lot of, I just can't take it anymore, kind of moments where you just put your foot down. You're like, nope, this is unacceptable. We have to come into strong feelings, strong boundaries within ourselves and our families and the greater world at large to really start to build the Merkaba and the Lightbody. So you start to see how the inner association, the inner intel and embodiment with soul, that starts to create a hum, right? An energetic building of frequency. So what we're doing is we're completely doing the opposite of the old world. We are building our light inside through self-knowing and honoring and self-love and self-healing and self-care, a gradual process of consistent devotion to the path of alignment to peace. And the more we build that and the stamina starts to take hold and root within us, this builds our light body, our soul body, the Merkaba, the vehicle, which is then raising our vibrational frequency to increase its magnetic spin. And this is how we start to create in the external with the magnetics of the external world. So you see how this is such a process, to see through the illusion, see where we have and hold disillusionment, see where we hold judgment, fear, pain, grief, anger, betrayal, rage, all of these things, all of these deep things. This is really a lot of inner child work here. And it goes all the way back to first separation, which is a long time ago, billions of years ago for our souls. So you see this process, this gradual process, this journey, this adventure of detoxing the old paradigm to then build new earth from within. So it's a gradual process. And it's interesting because these things aren't really linear, but you can kind of see, how we're building step by step. Detoxing who we are not. What no longer resonates with us? What is no longer acceptable in your reality, for yourself, for your children, for all people? It's not just about us. This is a holographic experience. So this is where it gets quantum, because everything that we say and do and take action for, put a boundary up, affects the collectives. It's a supporting everyone else also from detoxing from the old paradigm and taking their power back to build the new earth inside. This is a revolution at soul level, a revolution of consciousness. And it's a beautiful simplifying of this ancient modern human, a star being here. This is also creating a cultural renaissance, which is transitioning us into the golden age, these innovations of genius. All of us are inherent geniuses. There is a frequency of consciousness, which all of us have within. It may have been buried through our struggles and through all of the amnesia that we experienced the first part of the incarnation. But now we're ready for the next part. We're ready to bridge, right, into the highest destiny, to build that. So each of us are going to be contributing beautiful innovations in education, sacred relationship to the planet, to ourselves, to one another, to our food, community, rebuilding. How do we talk to one another? How do we care for one another? How do we hold one another and be vulnerable and raw? This is community, and there's unity in that. So when we are unified within, we have a greater reserve because the healing work has at least been initiated to then hold an energetic reserve of compassion for self and other, which opens up our higher vision to be able to see where the other is and start to speak to one another and communicate with respect and love, because we're not just flinging our projections, our wounded, fragmented soul pieces, just flinging them around, without regard, without consciousness. Also cultural renaissance of what health is. Now, in Ayurveda, the ancient Vedic tradition from India, which was all channeled by the sages in India, the primordial cause of dis-ease is forgetting one's true nature as spirit, as soul. It's a split in consciousness from the soul, coming strictly into just, mental, cognitive, robotic being. So this entire transition of starting to work with soul is going to pave the way for everything. Your money is going to come from there while we still have money systems, all of it. Purpose, guidance, inspiration, all of it. So right now, we have daily opportunities to witness ourselves reacting, responding, getting triggered, defining truth, redefining truth, holding and allowing others to have their truth and not be affected by it, because we start to realize we are our own universe. We are getting pushed and pulled by all of these initiations into stars, into star beings. The old paradigm was hammering us into a cube, and we never fit. And it caused suffering and a lot of uncomfortableness, discomfort. But that's the nature of the contrast. We have to know who we are not to know who we are, right? So all of this, it's a metaphor. The metaphor is the teaching. So do your best to not let the energy pull you down. See your triggers, honor yourself, forgive, purge, raise your frequency. There's so many ways to raise our frequency. And right now, my favorite is to dance. I love to listen to beautiful music and to just dance and allow my body consciousness to move however it wants to that music and just observe what's happening. And it's a way to quiet the brain and that kind of mind and come into more of the heart and soul, and also the Merkaba, the avatar consciousness, the light body consciousness, allowing it to express itself and move the energy out and through. So my process right now is, oh, I'm having a really strong reaction to that. Oh, wow, that's actually pinging on my abandonment issue, or my, anti-tyranny issue, because here I am, a blue ray indigo star being here to shake shit up. And it's in our faces, So it's healing the rebel child and embodying the master who says, oh, no, I don't think so. No, thank you so much. No, thank you. Right? Thank you. No, thank you. Maybe doing the Ho'oponopono, right? I'm so sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Right? With everyone in our lives, with even the people at the top right now who are playing very important roles for us to find ourselves. So this is deconstructing the old paradigm from our DNA, from our consciousness. They're all one and the same. Our beingness is holographic. So when we're working with our consciousness, we're also working with our DNA. This is mastering our magnetics, because it's affecting our frequency when we're pulled down, when we're in lower emotional vibrational frequencies. It pulls us down and makes it very hard for us to build the new. That being said, this entire process is an ascension and descension of consciousness and thus emotion. So one day you could have a down day where you're really in it, in the swamp, like I call it, doing the shadow work, and you meet it head on. Don't judge yourself where you are. Just see, oh, this is coming through. This aspect of me is wanting some love, some attention. Give it to yourself. And then watch. You could shift it in minutes. You could shift it in hours, depending on what it is. You may need the whole day. But if you dive into it just head first and without reserve, without fear, and instead seeing this as a process of alchemy, of frequency, you can shift anything. So this is the opportunity to start to merge with, to build our Merkaba. This is a light body technology with which to build new earth, because it comes through us. It's all frequency and magnetics. It's going to come through us. It's not from outside. That's the old paradigm. So that's one of the most important things to detox, is that kind of feedback loop. So in short, take inventory of the old limiting constructs, anything that you witness, anything that causes a stir within you, anything that causes a storm in those calm waters. and detox them. The dissolution of the old paradigm, which we are seeing right now, is also the dissolution of our connection to it. So yeah, it can be destabilizing, it can be chaotic, it can be confusing, but that's the whole point. We have to build the stability. This is how we build new earth. So it has to start with our purification, our purging of all of the density. And it's for many of us a lifelong process, but as our frequency raises and we start to build more of a reserve of energy over time from being consistent with these practices, when we are purging the old, it's not the same. It doesn't take us out, it doesn't take us down, it doesn't fuck up our flow, because we have built the structures in place within ourselves and all around us. The dissolution of the old paradigm supports our freedom from it. So this is just, kind of introductory covering on detoxing from the old paradigm, taking advantage of everything that's presenting right now, and learning how to build new earth from the inside. So the first step is healing ourselves, coming into our light, coming into our truth, and starting to play with and experiment with, what are we here to do? What really turns us on? What are we passionate about? Is it Tesla technology? Is it free energy? Is it healing? Is it Lightbody technology? Is it working with children? Is it music? Is it soil? There's so many things. Is it sacred council? So many things I can't even think of. So thank you so much for joining me for this. This is super deep content. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you for the next video. Take care. Sending so much love. I'll see you next time.